Hi, and welcome to Star Wars: Fall of the Republic, an educational editing project. It's a 13-episode miniseries which uses existing Star Wars movies and TV shows to tell the story of the Star Wars prequels. Now, as you can already see, I'm doing things a bit more informally than I usually do, and that's because I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to show this to anybody. So stick around and I'll tell you exactly what we've got going on here. This first episode we're going to look at today is called The Path of the Jedi. Now, I've decided to use the fan edit Shadow of the Sith as my source rather than the theatrical or extended versions of The Phantom Menace, simply because there's just some really fantastic edits already done there, so it's just going to save me a load of time. But for my purposes, I'm turning this Star Wars prequel story into a TV show, a 13-episode miniseries. And, movies and TV shows kind of have different rhythms, different paces. So even though there's already a ton of work done for me, there's still a ton of work to be done. Here's a quick look at my timeline that I'm using here on converting Shadow of the Sith, or at least approximately the first half of Shadow of the Sith, into my first episode of Star Wars: Fall of the Republic, which is titled The Path of the Jedi, referencing how Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are just on this journey. They're on this collision course with meeting Anakin and, the whole fate of the galaxy changing, that whole thing. So we've all seen The Phantom Menace, or at least I presume you have, because this isn't going to be a very useful educational editing tool for you if you haven't, so you definitely need to watch that first. And of course, all the usual fan edit disclaimers: I don't own anything, etc., etc. We're doing something under the terms of fair use, which might be somewhat dubious, but we're not trying to replace anything. We're just trying to show what we can do with the techniques of editing in terms of changing the tone, changing the pace, and just creating a product that feels different and fits in more with the tone Disney is currently using with Star Wars on television. So that's what we're going to look at today, and I guess we'll keep doing more of these if they let us. We'll see. So essentially, I'm just going to walk you through it and kind of talk about what I did, why I did it, and I'll just be up in the corner here telling you stuff, and I'll be looking up there at the television as it happens, and we'll just be watching it together. All this stuff that you can see down here is, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse pointer or not, but this is, we're watching this in the editing software in Adobe Premiere. So I'll be stopping here and there, and I'll be able to manipulate the video around and, that sort of stuff, so you get to hear good stuff like that every once in a while. But away we go. Let's check it out. We'll see what happens. Well, that didn't go so well. I tried editing in 2 different ways, but both times got hit with copyright claims that made it impossible to post the video to YouTube because, as I'm sure most people are aware, fair use is just deader than dead. There's just no way to do such things anymore, regardless of your income. There's no way to sort out the good actors from the bad actors. You just can't. Anyway, so I think I've got a still way to show you what I'm trying to show you. So let's try this. So let's go back, and I think one of the things we can talk about here is just getting in a little tighter here and there. So one example of that, yeah, this is a good example here, because I wanted there to try to elevate the focus of Obi-Wan, because obviously Obi-Wan is a little bit pushed to the background in The Phantom Menace. I wanted to try to find ways to bring him up, and there just really aren't any, but this was just like one opportunity just to be a little bit more intimate with the camera. Yeah, I know kids, sorry. Just to get in there. You know, this is more of a tight 2-shot. Like, it's this shot, and I just want to get in there just for a minute, just to kind of, you know, just give them a moment here and there. So that's just like one example of something that I tried to do. But mostly what I'm doing here in the Phantom Menace is, you know, just cutting things for time and for pace. You know, this whole sequence at the Gungan City is much longer. I cut it pretty short. You know, lots of these interactions I cut shorter, as did the Shadow of the Sith cut. I made them even shorter in 1 or 2 instances. But yeah, I mean, generally, I went with a lot of the stuff with the Phantom, with the Shadow of the Sith cut. The big difference between my cuts into the Phantom Menace and the Shadow of the Sith cut is that I've reintroduced the Padme is the Queen in secret thread that he cut out, and that's really the main difference. And I just added it back in because I think it just works better in the concept of a TV series, a TV show miniseries, and yeah, I think like what they were trying to do with their fan cuts of the 3 prequel movies is just different than what I'm trying to do in a 13-episode mixed medium TV limited series. It's just not the same. Oh yeah, so this just makes me feel better, just kind of illustrating what's happening here in the blockade with the shields. You know, like when the ship takes off and then like the ship gets hit, and it's just kind of like, oh no, like without our shields we'll be sitting ducks. And it's like, but like were your shields not on? Or I just always found that a little confusing. So just giving the ship a voice and saying it's like, oh, the shields are almost online, oh no, we got hit. And then it's like, well, I'm the ship, I'll try to fix it. And you know, I was like, oh, it's going bad and we have to get the shields fixed. And then, you know, R2 fixes the shields, and it's like, oh no, there's something wrong with the ship. And it's just something I just thought worked a little better. But yeah, I mean, that's just another example of where I just wanted to get in a little bit more intimately with the camera, you know, because these 2 shots are difficult because of the height difference between these 2 actors. They're, you know, Liam Neeson is just a very tall person, and I think Ernell August is probably just a regular sized person. But I just wanted to get in there a little tighter, just to kind of give her a moment. I particularly do that in the next episode, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so I think it's just probably a good place to, yeah, I made this a little bit different. And, yeah, just kind of added the crowd noise in, and wanted to have this kind of focus of this one moment of triumph for Anakin, so I got a little tighter in there as well. But yeah, so that's the first episode. And yeah, again, this cut of cutting up this first half of the Phantom Menace into 40 minutes. I think, again, the entire pod race is about 40 minutes. You know, the movie, I think, is around 2 hours and 20. I've got the whole thing down to right around 80 minutes. You can see we're at 40 minutes and 40 seconds here going into the credits. So this was mostly about tone and pace, really. And yeah, adding some stuff back in that was cut, and, you know, cutting some stuff out. But that's mostly what we're trying to correct for, is the tone and the pace that we want. And I think if you go back, you know, you see, you know, much less Jar Jar Binks, less comedy, and even at times just kind of less dwelling on things and more just like keeping the pace going, keeping the tempo just going bang, 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 and not always necessarily letting things breathe, but sometimes also taking just a few seconds to let the camera linger or let the camera be more intimate. And in that sense, creating these artificial close-ups in post just by zooming in and getting in there a little bit tighter. So that's the first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. There are 12 more episodes to go if we're able to keep doing this, which I suspect we won't be able to, but in any case, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll tune in again next time if there is one.